This is the new Suzuki S-Cross, an affordable small, what's that, Franklin? Okay. An expensive small SUV that doesn't reinvent the wheel, but isn't a complete rust bucket either. We're here at the launch to test it out, so let's tuck in. The third generation Suzuki S-Cross small SUV is in the same vein as the Mazda CX-30, Honda HR-V, and the top-selling model in the segment, the Chinese-made MG ZS. Price is a big motivator in this segment, which is what makes the new Suzuki so perplexing, with prices climbing by at least $10,000. The engine is a small turbo petrol 4-cylinder unit, and it's fairly economical, but it's far from innovative. In fact, this thing is a bit of a dinosaur. In Europe, they get a very mild hybrid option, and there is a proper hybrid on its way, but Suzuki Australia says these are a long way off. The engine hooks up with a conventional 6-speed automatic driving the front wheels for the most part, but it is an all-wheel drive system, so it can apportion torque 50-50 front to rear when required. Suzuki has completely reworked the exterior design, giving it a big boy look. That crossover feel is gone, and it's got more of a rugged, proper SUV design about it, and I really like it. The headlights too, with those triple element LEDs, add a little bit of sophistication, but the brake lights, they look a little dated, and overall, I don't think it's quite as smart as, say, the new Honda HR-V or the Kia Seltos. First impressions of the cabin, well, it's well presented. Everything's laid out nicely. I mean, it's not ultra modern, and it kind of feels like a Toyota from 2014. But look, in its defense, these hard plastic are probably going to be very hard wearing. It just ain't real pretty. The infotainment systems are, well, they're a bit average. Over here, you've got a tiny 4.2-inch digital screen wedged between the two analog clusters, and it does look pretty nice, but some of its rivals offer fully digital displays. Back seat room is good and bad. Check out the headroom, virtually non-existent, but adult behind adult, I've actually got decent leg room. This is not too bad. Amenity, very, very average. There's no vents, no USB ports, but you do get the standard armrest with cup holders and holy shit handle and a light. Boot space is pretty good for a small SUV, and there's plenty of functionality too. There's a hidden floor under here to hide your contraband. You've got a 240-volt socket, tie-down hooks, a bag hook, and a space-saver spare wheel. For this price, I'd kind of like a powered tailgate. But anyway, let's see how she drives. Like the basic cabin, the car is, well, a bit rudimentary in the way it drives. It does have a bit of character, and that's thanks to the peppy engine. And overall, it is a very easy vehicle to drive. The small turbocharged petrol engine is one of the highlights on the mechanical side. Despite being unchanged from its predecessor, it's reasonably responsive, delivers good mid-range thrust, and should be very reliable. It's also fairly efficient. Handling dynamics, well, they're best described as average. It tends to wallow through the corners and doesn't inspire confidence. And you might say it's not a sports car, Fian, and I agree, but there are plenty of small SUVs that sit a lot flatter through the corners, and they just feel more confident when you're turning. While it's not very lively on curly roads, it does deliver respectable ride comfort, smoothing out cruddy road surfaces fairly easily. Okay, well, that's the on-road section. I think it's time to take it off-road. Both S-Cross model grades come with 3 drive modes, including a lockable center diff that splits torque 50-50 front to rear. And the fact that Suzuki wanted us to take it off-road shows confidence in the product. Suzuki is known for making rugged vehicles, chief among them the Jimny. That iconic vehicle will go anywhere. And while this is not a go anywhere SUV, it's doing quite well on this little makeshift MX course. You've got 175 mil of ground clearance, which isn't as good as, say, the Subaru XV with 220 mils of ground clearance, but the four-wheel drive system works quite well, and it certainly has no trouble getting around some of these steeper obstacles. There's few standout features here, and while the exterior design is pretty cool, a lot of elements feel, well, dated. Its rivals offer considerably more tech for similar money, and some of the cabin materials are pretty crummy. And those rough edges are a little bit hard to get past, especially when you consider the price has gone up $10,000. Yes, it's a reliable Japanese SUV, well presented and quite rugged, but for me, it's just too expensive.